Welcome to the family with.
Gelfand.
And Brant Bernard.
Oh, he followed your lead on that one. Just
All
going
right.
with the last name.
Not quite as catchy. Too many syllables.
A lot of syllables.
Yeah.
Okay.
More than two just doesn't work.
I don't know that we need to cover the story. We could cover the story, but I just want to read the headline. And if you want to cover the story, I will. A new AI chatbot lets you ask your future self for advice.
It sounds very gimmicky.
It certainly does to me. How is that possible?
I like to imagine like a 95-year-old using that.
Like 10 years from now.
Yeah.
What am I going to be thinking when I'm 105? I wonder.
Yeah, I don't think there is a future for me.
Mm.
You don't think there's any future at all?
Maybe something in the past, for advice.
Yeah, there you go. Ask your past self.
Sure.
How about that?
Yeah, I'd do that.
Will come
I don't know. I
storming
mean,
back.
I don't see how even so. There's like you can quote unquote clone people or whatever. Like you can make a chat bot that has the same personality or purports to have the same personality as like a dead loved one or something based on your texts and that sort of thing. And that I get because it's easy to copy speech patterns and if there's enough opinion in there, it can form the same opinions. But the future self thing just doesn't make any sense because it's like you'd have to basically be a diviner in order to make that work. So I don't know.
The headlines today are very, very odd. Here's another one. Kids these days think selling out is a good thing.
No.
So in other words, they've been watching the national news and the politicians.
Yeah, they want to be politicians.
They want to be politicians, just sell out like a sumbitch for tons and tons of money. But
well, I mean, to be honest, even industries that say they don't sell out, especially music industries, they all do.
Oh, absolutely they do.
And listen to basically any of the big punk bands of the 80s and 90s. They all sold out. Every single one.
Yeah, they did.
Well,
that's the dream.
You want them to starve?
Starve.
I mean,
Yeah,
for a musician, that's just nirvana. No, I'm not referring to the band, but
Nirvana itself.
But the idea that you can, that you can play music, you can, sing and play, and that you can make a living at it. I mean, to me, that seems like one of the greatest lives you could have. You don't have to get rich either just to be able to do that.
The problem is a lot of travel. I would not care for that.
No.
Constantly being on the road is
that'd be rough.
Well, and that's why I always had some sympathy for the comics who used to attempt to shame me because, they were bitter. Of course they were bitter. Here I was sitting here, comfortable studio. And, then I could go home and coach my kids' little league team, and these guys, like after the show that night, they'd be heading for the Chuckle Hut in Wichita.
The Chuckle Hut.
Yeah. So it's hard not to have some sympathy for that.
Oh, no, I understand that. I could never have been an on-the-road comedian. There's no way. I would have hated going from town to town to town. It's like, oh, my God.
It's true, but you would have a pilot that Paramount was just about to pick up.
Any minute now. Yep, it's true. It's always Paramount too, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. Well, why not?
Let me ask you a question. I'm glad you brought that name up because I had an argument with someone. I guess our generation always said Paramount, but it's actually Paramount, according to younger people.
Really?
That's what they're saying.
I would pronounce it Paramount.
Yeah, because it's Mount.
Yes.
But we've always pronounced it Paramount.
Yep.
Huh.
Now, the other thing, it's paramount to being something. That was Paramount, correct? So I don't know. I don't know how to work that whole deal out. But selling out is a good thing. So basically, our children are being taught to kiss ass and lie as much as they possibly can for money.
Well, more or less, I suppose.
I mean, some people might say, well, you were a journalist. You sold out to the Minneapolis Tribune.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to draw the line somewhere. I mean, I sold out so that I could make a living doing what I love. Yeah, sure.
No doubt about it.
But it's a little different. It's a little different with politicians selling out because, then they're taking money to do horrible things.
Yeah.
I mean,
no doubt.
It depends on your definition of selling out too. Like my friend Alex, he showed me the weirdest commercial I've seen in a long time. So you two probably don't know what Descent is. It's a video game.
No,
It's
don't
a
know
game
it.
where you fly around in a spaceship and, shoot lasers at things.
Sure.
And the person in the ad playing the game was Rodney Dangerfield.
Hey, let me tell you, when I was a kid,
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, he goes, I'm flying around and I blow up. I don't get no respect. It's like, what the hell is this?
That's Rodney making a buck.
Are we trying to get the 60-year-old market into dissent? It just doesn't make any sense. So you could argue that he sold out by doing that ad.
Yeah.
Because it's just, he got a bunch of money for it and it
Sure.
made no sense at all. And he wasn't a good fit. But
No.
hey, it's
I'm
like
up
it's not
here
the
in
worst thing in the world.
Up here in space, and I'm doing some coke.
Well,
Galfano.
it's hard to do lines in space when there's no gravity.
Yeah, it's true. Very, very difficult.
You got to just throw it into the air and kind of like breathe through the cloud.
Have you ever heard the story about when Jeff Cesario met Rodney Dangerfield?
No.
Oh, God, I love the story. And I've told it a million times, I know, but it's a wonderful story. So Cesario decides he's going to leave Minneapolis. He's going to fly out to L.A. He's going to become a producer of a TV show and all the rest of it. Flies into town. And at that time, Seinfeld picked him up at the airport because Seinfeld was already out. This is years and years and years
I
ago.
guess so. Yeah.
A long time. So Cesario's picked up at the airport by Seinfeld, and they're walking around Los Angeles looking at this, that, and the other thing. And Seinfeld says to Cesario, hey, would you like to meet Rodney Dangerfield? He goes, God, I'd love to meet Rodney Dangerfield. That'd be great. Well, he's over at the, Chuckle Hut or whatever the hell the name of the place is.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, he's getting off stage right about now. So why don't we just walk over there? I'll introduce you. Literally, as they get there, here comes Rodney out the back door. He's about to get in his limousine. And Seinfeld says, Rodney, I want to introduce you to a new guy. You're going to love this guy. He's a terrific writer. He's a terrific producer, a very funny comedian himself. Rodney Dangerfield, meet Jeff Cesario. There's a pause, and Rodney says, Cesario, huh? Italian, huh? Stick to the tumbling. You should be an acrobat. Oh, okay.
Well,
From an earlier time, that's for certain.
see, the great thing about that story is Rodney's always on.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
And so he's really giving you something by saying that.
Oh, I think it's a great story.
Yeah.
I mean, Cesario loves telling that.
Sure. Yeah.
There's no question about it. But I do miss Rodney. You know that Rodney's been dead like 20 years already?
It's been 20?
And
Been
if
a
you look it
while.
up, I think it's been around
Let's
20 years,
see.
something like that.
How old was he when he started becoming a comic?
He was pretty damn old. He's in the late 50s, I think.
Something like
It
that.
will be 20 years in October.
Oh, so this October it'll be 20 years.
Huh.
Yep.
He's been dead for 20 years.
Most of my life.
But he lives on.
But he does
He
He
live.
certainly
lives on
does.
in film. Very.
But what's his real name?
Oh, I know. I just saw his real name. That's a great call, Andy, because he's got an interesting real name.
It's Rodney Dangerfield. It sounds fake because it is.
Yes. And his name is
Well, he went by Jack Roy.
Jack
but he was
Roy.
for
born.
now.
Yep.
He was born Jacob Cohen.
Jacob Cohen.
I think he made the right move there.
No, because there aren't any funny Jews. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I
Rodney
mean,
Dangerfield's a very recognizable name. It's a
Yeah, it
brand
is.
more than anything. So,
I suppose that is.
he did
probably
the
true.
opposite of Whoopi Goldberg.
yes.
I still don't understand Whoopi Goldberg going with Whoopi Goldberg. Isn't her name like Carol Smith or something?
I think it is.
Cheryl
Let's see.
Smith, I think, or something
I
like
think you're right.
Wait a minute now. Are you telling me she's not Jewish?
that.
Karen Johnson.
Karen
Yeah,
Johnson.
well, there could. Is there a more Gentile-ish name than that?
No,
No,
there's
well,
not.
and she is the daughter of a Baptist clergyman. So,
Hmm.
yeah, pretty much as far from Jewish as you can get. But hey,
Obviously, she hated her father.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. No question. And her father probably hated Jews. That's probably why she did it.
Well, I went to school. I actually had a friend in grade school with the son of a Baptist minister.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
And
Well, I never did get to see the inside of his house.
No,
Let's put it that
really?
way. No, I never did.
there's a little bit of that in my neighborhood back in the day, too. With,
Yeah.
di-
Oh, yeah.
different people.
Yeah,
No
I
question
experienced
about
that with other people. Yeah. But Baptist minister, those guys, it's basically in their DNA that they're preaching at a Chautauqua tent,
it. Yeah, right.
and they keep them moving, the Baptist church. You get settled after about a year, you're on your way to Des Moines.
Whatever happened to that one ministry or whatever the hell it was? It was a minister, but I think it was a ministry that was like anti-gay, anti-skin.
Oh, are you talking about Westboro Baptist Church?
Yes, Westboro.
yes.
Yeah,
They're the
yes.
ones
they were
who-
pretty
yeah.
famous for a while.
God,
They're just gone now, aren't they?
I think it's pretty much not a thing
and
anymore.
didn't they have the slogan that
They had slogans, all right.
I don't want to say it.
Yeah, I don't think
Well,
you can say any of them.
If you say it was a cigarette back when I was a kid,
You're right.
that's-
Yeah,
that's
then it
what
would
they
be
called
okay.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
Back in those days.
Yeah, but that wasn't what they meant.
No, it did not say God hates cigarettes.
No, it didn't.
No, it is
Matter of fact,
not.
they still call cigarettes that in England, I guess.
Yes, they do.
From
Well, the
what I
weird thing
understand.
is they seem to hate everyone
They do. They hate everybody.
Yeah.
because like they hated soldiers. I don't know why. Because I guess because they represented America, and America has to be bad too. Then it's like, who didn't they hate?
Well, saying that America's a shithole is very popular among politicians
It
now.
sure
is true.
is.
It didn't, they used to talk about how great the country was.
I know.
And now everything's going to hell. I'm the only guy who can save it,
Yeah, that's exactly what they both are claiming right now.
pretty much.
And I just pointed out I've personally known one president in my entire life, which is very unusual. I understand knowing who the president of the United States is, but I've personally known one president of the United States, and he's the guy that might go to prison. That's some Tommy timing right there,
That's
isn't it?
great. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think where you reach the tipping point is when you understand that in polling, if you say to people, America, the unemployment rate has never been higher, they'll say yes. Well, it's never been lower,
It's never been lower.
but they've been told that
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
I don't know.
Well, again, it's probably higher than 100 years ago because there are about 15 times more people.
You would think so, yeah.
They never pull that part out, do they?
And of course, the big deal there is our unemployment. You can go by any store, any retail place, and you'll know pretty quickly that the unemployment rate is very low because all these businesses are just starving for employees.
Yeah, they are. You're right, because nobody wants to work.
Well, also it's part of the fact that we have an aging population.
We do, but I mean,
and during the pandemic, a lot of people who were like, in their early 60s, late 50s, just said, "Oh, the hell with it," and they quit.
I know it's just the whole thing is upset. But let me ask you a question. And you guys, obviously Mike and I are in a different generation, Andy, but you're at, right in the middle of life, 38, 39, 40. That's pretty much the middle of life for most people, isn't it?
Yep. I
I
mean,
would think.
technically, I think middle age in America is 38 or 39.
Yeah.
Same.
say that, yeah.
You're right there in the middle. But I mean, the amazing thing about that is when is the last time you saw somebody actually finish their job? Nobody ever finishes their work anymore. I don't know. What is that all about? And they literally tell you, I don't want to finish my job today. I'll do it tomorrow.
Mhm.
And I don't want to work 8 hours tomorrow to do it either. I mean, that's well, I don't either. But unless you're a multi-millionaire or maybe even a billionaire, you're going to have to get off your ass and do your job. I'll give an example of what I'm talking about. I got a call from, this building saying, Tom, you know that your rent's like 10 months behind. I said, what? I got it on auto pay. I set up auto pay with you guys. Well, they didn't do it.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's been paid every month. I find I haven't been paid for 10 months. Why? Because somebody didn't finish their work and never bothered to tell me, I messed up.
Mhm.
Then I get a bill from, doesn't matter who it's from. I look at it and go, how the hell is this bill so high? I was like $2,000, right?
Mhm.
So I call over there and I go, hey, look, I just popped the check in the mail to you guys. I wanted you to know. I didn't know I was, 3 months behind or whatever the deal is. And they said, you're not. What are you talking about? I said, well, I got my bill today and it was like $2,000. They said, your bill's $100. So how does somebody who sits behind a desk, right? How do you overcharge somebody by 20 times what it really is?
I hired an accountant. This was about a year and a half ago, right?
Right.
And he was recommended to me by a guy who, I know,
Okay.
a good guy. And so the guy, I waited and waited, and finally the guy called me up and he said, "Well, we're all finished now with your 2022 taxes."
Oh yeah.
And he said, "And I just need to ask you a couple questions." So I answered the questions. He said, "Good, we got it." And never heard from him again. He didn't do his job.
Why do they do that?
I know,
don't get it.
he just disappeared.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, he didn't bill me, but then again, he didn't do his job. And then, so now I had to hire another guy to do my taxes for 2 years.
But see, Mike, here's what I understand. If you have a job, you should do your job.
Well, at the very least, you could, I mean, it would never happen, but you could call and say, Mike, I just don't feel like finishing the job here.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, so I'll see you later. I mean, I called the guy many times. I called everyone who might have been working in his shop.
Right.
Nobody ever answered the phone. I don't know what happened to the guy. I hope he's okay. I searched for him in the obits and he wasn't there.
So he didn't die on you.
No, so that much I know.
I won't say who it was, but the grandkids were over, Alex's kids, and they wanted some pizza. So they tried to call their favorite pizza place.
Mm-hmm.
Their favorite pizza place doesn't have a phone.
Yeah, no, everything's online.
It's all online now. They don't even have a phone anymore.
Yep. A lot of places are like that now.
Oh, are they?
You
They just don't even have a phone?
Yeah, no, you can't call them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, I yesterday, so I keep getting these text messages from Xfinity
Yeah.
saying you need to drop off your old what do they call it? I don't know, something like a foundation or something like that. So because they kept telling me you need a new one, so I got the new one.
Oh,
now
your package or whatever.
It's
You were grandfathered in for too long.
well, I don't know what it was, but they said no, because now you need to return your old foundation or whatever it was called. Well, I didn't have one. I had a 20-year-old modem.
Oh yeah, that's.
I'd be very happy to drop off the modem, but what would be the point of it?
I know.
I mean,
it's unbelievable.
I should just throw it in the trash, basically.
Yeah, they're not going to use it for anything.
No, there's nothing they could possibly use. It wasn't even anything I could use.
No.
Although I did. It didn't work that well.
I like
so
that. Well, I
don't know.
did, but
Yeah, so
I like it.
So I thought, well, I'll just contact Xfinity and ask them if they need this thing back for any reason. No. Finally, after speaking to the robot, finally they said, well, would you like to speak to a real person? They didn't quite put it that way.
There you go.
But that was the question. So they told me where to go for that. And as it turned out, I could talk to a real person, but I would have to sign up for a special thing they were selling for $5 a month. And then I could talk to a real person.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That didn't speak English, by the way. Even though they're a real person, they don't speak English.
Right, exactly. I don't know. I mean, what do you do? It's
I
just
don't know.
and there are some companies now that have gone back to allowing customers to talk to a real person. There are big companies that have done that.
Oh, they have.
Yeah,
Good move.
Maybe the trend's going in the right direction. I don't know. But we've all had this experience trying to call a utility company, for example.
Oh, God.
Forget about it.
You cannot understand them. They're trying to speak English, but they haven't mastered it yet.
Well, yeah. And I mean, at this point, I mean, I'd be very happy to talk to someone in Sri Lanka. I don't care.
It is always Sri Lanka too.
Well, it's very commonly.
It is, yeah.
Or India sometimes.
India sometimes.
But the Indian, I mean, that's great if you could talk to someone in India.
Sure.
Because you can understand them.
They have the kind of singing voice.
And so, but now those are like the good old days when you could talk to somebody from India.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. So I did most of my degree online. And part of doing the degree online was you have to connect via Zoom to a proctor who has to watch your keyboard and everything while you take the tests to make sure you're not cheating and everything. And it's kind of difficult to do tests when your proctor has chickens, cockadoodle doodling
Yeah.
on the other end about once every 30 seconds because they're clearly like, in a farm in, I don't even know what country it would
Right.
be.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, they call that a proctoscope, don't they?
Mm.
No, probably not.
That doesn't sound too good. Couple of happy things to report to you guys.
Yeah.
Out for a walk with Catherine yesterday and walking down the street, and this young man goes, "Tom, how you doing?" I said, "Really great. How are you?" "Hi, my name is Matthew Trigstead. I'm a huge fan of the podcast and the family show, and I just wanted you to know that." He's a brand manager of a wine distributor. Young guy, great guy, really, really, really nice man. He had with him Gian Lorenzo Neri.
Quite the name.
Gian Lorenzo Neri was with him. And by the way, the name of his company is Casanova da Neri. What do you think of that? But they're both like wine people. And I was talking to them. They had a wonderful time talking to him. Matt's just a great guy. He said, "I've been listening to you, Gelfand, and then he went down the whole list of people since I was a little boy, because my father introduced me to your morning
Sure,
show."
of course, yeah.
Right. So just having a great conversation with him. He gives me his number. So I call the number and say, "Hey man, you should come on and talk a little wine." I left him a message.
Yeah.
Come on and talk about wine. It's a fascinating subject and all the rest of it. I get a call back from Alfonso, a guy that I've known in the wine business forever.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking 14 years ago.
I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't drink wine. I still buy wine for other people,
Mhm.
but I don't drink it anymore. Alfonso calls me and goes, "Tom, why did you give up on me? Why did you we're not friends anymore." And that's not a very good impression of him, but,
Right.
but it was just this wonderful day, wonderful people, big listeners. They had nothing but great things to say about the show. So I think we should have them on the morning show maybe once a month, and on this show once a month. You'd really like him, Andy. Honest to God, it'd be great.
All right. Yeah.
To have him come on.
You got his contact info.
It's funny. My urologist said the same thing to me. "Why'd you give up on me?"
Yeah, why'd you?
And my response was, "Because you almost killed me."
Well, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you've heard this news or not, but it's going to make you very happy because both of you really like this person.
Hmm.
It was announced yesterday that Brittany
Yeah.
is going to be half of the new afternoon show at My Talk.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Are you shocked and stunned?
Like that was like automatic after the two women said they were going to retire.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
But that is great.
But she talked, and this is typical Brittany. We're talking about Brittany. He was Brittany Hagen, of course, when she worked with me.
Right.
It's Brittany Arneson now. She got
Mhm.
married.
Mhm.
But Brittany is one of the most pleasant people on earth.
Yeah. And I think that's true, even though she doesn't return my calls anymore.
Well, she got a baby, so that does make it
She
a
got
little
a baby
tough.
and a new job coming, and I understand.
But we're gonna. I talked to her about the two of them coming on
Oh,
to
good.
do the show. Kendall, what the hell's Kendall's last name? So you know this woman, but I can never remember her last name.
On My Talk?
Well, she's not on My Talk yet. She's on the. Well, I think she did the morning show.
Kendall Mark?
Kendall Mark. That's exactly
yeah.
who it is.
Was that always her last name?
I don't know. I have no idea. But Brittany and Kendall Mark are going to do the afternoon show at My Talk.
Oh, that'd be great.
And this is something we talked about when Brittany left the show here. Her dream was always to do the afternoon. It always has been for many, many years now anyway, to do the afternoon show or, do her own show on My Talk. She's made it.
Yeah.
And when she left this show, I talked to, Dan Seaman and everybody else involved, and they took care of her until that job opened.
Yeah. That's why you knew she was going to get this gig. 'Cause
Yeah, that's true.
They were always going to do something like this with
No
her.
question about it. So they took care of Brittany, and I talked to her yesterday. She was very, very humble. She said, "I could not believe that I was on the Tom Bernard show when I was only 21 years old." I said, "Well, we needed a pain in the ass, and you were the only one I knew to bring on the show, so I had no
It's
choice."
funny. She's never humble with me. She just keeps referring to me as the little bitch. So I don't know.
Well, so I'm very, very happy for Brittany. She's a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And let me run something by you guys, because I said, Brittany, you know what makes you, and you should remember this when you're on the air, is your service in the military. You served your country, put yourself in some dangerous positions and all. You didn't put yourself in, the Army did. But I said, your strength is what you learned in the military. You know, you have other things that develop through family and all the rest of it. But her go-to thing is the way she thinks in a military, thought process. And that's why she's so good at what she does.
It never goes away.
Oh, it never goes
I mean,
away.
I think
That's
about my
absolutely
dad who hated authority as every bit as much as I did.
right. Yeah.
But he still had the remnants from being in the army. Like, when I issue an order, he wouldn't say that to me, but it would be a little more like, he had to obey all orders. He believed in authority, even though he hated it. He was just basically, he was scarred for life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of, and I don't think she's scarred.
No,
for life.
no.
She did a good job with it and all the rest
Yeah.
of it. But your father was in the service when there was a little thing going on.
There was a thing going on there in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
So,
I'll tell you who else is great. Yeah. Her sister, Lindsay,
yeah.
her mom, Bev,
Oh, yeah.
her
Absolutely.
stepdad, Dick. I mean, you go down the line, those are all great people. So she had a good up. I believe that she had a very good upbringing.
Oh, no question about it.
I remember when Dick came up to me about, I don't know, must have been, 20 years ago or something. And
Right.
he said, I don't know what we're going to do with Brittany. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, she's funny. She's talented,
Yeah.
and he said, maybe she should be a comedian. And I said,
I don't think so.
it's a tough gig. I said, how about radio? He said, well, yeah. So
Well, there you go.
I made a call, and no, but I suggested to her that she, just be an intern at KQRS,
Mhm.
and she took it from there. I mean, I had nothing to do with any of it, right? But I just suggested that, and of course, they were thrilled to have her after about a week,
Oh, God, yes, absolutely.
and then she just went from there.
One thing I always love about that whole deal, and she was the third part of the whole, it was the 3-beat.
Mhm.
I apparently ruined Terry's life, and then I ruined Candace's life, and then I ruined Brittany's life.
Yeah.
And it's like all of it's bullshit, of course.
Yeah.
But, Brittany's still a friend. The other two probably are not, but I mean, it's nothing I can do about it.
No.
Here's what happens. And I'm not talking about these people in general, but people come on and they strive for a higher position,
Mhm.
and they get to the higher position and can't necessarily do it. And then they get fired, but they have to blame somebody else for getting fired. You ever notice that? People
Yeah.
always have to blame someone else because they got fired.
Yeah. They can't just say, well, I needed to spend more time with my family.
Yeah, there you go.
That's always a good one.
I've always been proud of being fired.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's good. They fired me. I don't put up their bullshit
Goes with the
anymore.
job anyway.
It does. No, there's no question about it.
Radio's like being a baseball manager. You're hired to be fired.
But again, of those 3 people, I still see it on social media once in a while. I didn't fire any of them.
Yeah.
Leave me. Well, Galvan, you know that. You were there.
Yeah.
I tried to get rid of you several times, but it didn't work.
Well, you didn't fire me either. That was someone else who did it.
Well, you didn't get fired. I thought you left.
Well, I did leave, but before that, they apparently blamed me for the acrimony on the show. So so I got called into the GM's office, and she, she was very stern, although I could tell she wasn't sincere.
No.
And she said, well, we're firing you today, and now you're rehired, but you got half the hours. And I
Oh,
said,
God.
well, do I have half the money, and do I have all the benefits? She said no, and I said, then I'm gone. I'm out
Goodbye.
of here. Yeah.
Yeah, goodbye.
So she called me about a week later. She really was a very nice person, and I could tell because I
Must
could.
not be who I'm thinking of.
Well, I mean, for me, she was nice. I mean, if anyone who fired me could be nice, she was nice.
Okay.
And so about a week later, she called me up and she said, all right, you got benefits, you got half the money, but I'm mad at you for demanding it.
Oh, God. Whatever.
And then I don't know. I don't know where she is today, but I think she might be. Is she in New York now? I don't know.
What's her first name?
Her first name, I can't even remember. I told my friend Angela, who was she was like I always said she was my office wife because she was working at KQ.
Mhm.
Not that there was anything going on there,
No.
but if I needed like there were a lot of things that I had a little trouble with, like trying to get a hold of HR trying to
Oh,
find
yeah,
out, trying to
yeah.
find out something about benefits or something. And Angela always got that done for me. So I don't know, but as far as it was, I remember her last name, but started with a W, but I'm trying to remember her first name. Anyway, so
Got it.
she was, yeah, I think she wound up afterwards. And I'm not saying this; it's not something she needs. That I'm not saying it wasn't a great thing for her,
Mhm.
but she did for a while. She became a dog walker.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking
and
about.
I think the previous general manager, that might have been a good job for him too,
Oh, I think so.
assuming that he would get bitten a lot.
She just kind of that's the way it was.
Oh well, he wasn't a big fan of mine, but I don't think it
Who
meant,
wasn't?
you know who I'm talking about. The guy who rushed into your studio and said, "Get this guy off the air," the first day I was there.
Did he really?
Well, you told me that story.
I can't even remember that. Were his initials MS?
Yes.
I didn't know. So he just didn't understand why you were even there.
Well, I
Is that
didn't
what
have
you're
a.
telling me?
He felt like I needed to have a radio voice.
Well, that's the whole point. You
Yeah.
didn't.
Well, and that was the great thing. One of the many great things about the morning show was nobody sounded like anyone else.
No, they did not.
I mean, I see this all the time. I tuned into the baseball network. This is just a few weeks ago,
Mhm.
and there were 3 guys on the show, and they all talked exactly the same.
Oh
way.
yeah, absolutely.
And you couldn't tell one from another from another.
There's a guy, and I like the guy personally. I won't say who it is, but I really do like the guy personally. But he says something on the air that I hate so much I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
A caller will call into his show. So yeah, how you doing? Blah blah blah. And you go, just sitting around jaw jacking.
Oh my God.
Jaw jacking.
Jaw jacking.
That's. Do you have to turn talking into a sexual innuendo?
Yeah, exactly.
Jaw jack is a thing apparently.
Oh, yeah, jaw jacking is a thing.
Oh,
It's
great.
true, but I don't know if I go that a lot.
No.
I got to be honest with you.
It is, yeah, Canadian and U.S. slang.
Oh, it's Canadian too. That's probably Canadian originally.
Yeah, let's blame the Canucks for this one.
Yeah, let's get them all
I don't
taken
know
care
where
of.
it comes from.
I'm guessing Winnipeg. That's
Oh,
the worst insult you can make.
Well, but one of the great comedians of all time came from Winnipeg, Canada.
Really?
Used to have him come in all the time.
Yeah.
You know who it is, don't you?
No,
David Steinberg.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was from Winnipeg, Canada. He said the big deal was they would get in the car in Winnipeg and drive to Minneapolis to shop.
Sure, I
It's
can
like,
understand.
what is that, about a 10-hour drive?
Yeah.
Like you drove 10 hours to shop, especially when the Mall of America opened, I guess. That was a very big deal.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
suppose
sure.
that makes sense, doesn't it?
I mean, everybody except people who live in the Twin Cities loves the place.
Yeah, that place, I haven't been out there in years. I don't know why.
I can't even remember the last time I was there. I'm sure it's great, but why would I go there?
Why do you think it is that we don't go there? Just too busy or too something?
Well, for me, I'm still basically, when it comes to clothing, I'm still wearing the stuff that I got free at the radio station.
Well,
30
that's
years
true.
ago.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I don't, I allot about $100 a year for clothing.
That's it, $100 a year.
Yeah.
Huh?
Mostly it's socks.
A lot of socks.
Yeah, socks don't last.
Well, you notice I'm wearing my Mickey Mouse shirt today, so that's good.
That's nice. Yeah.
I'm
like
wearing
the
my
Mickey
Pluto
Mouse.
shirt.
All right.
there
Oh, you
go.
are. Look at those ears sticking up, baby.
Yeah.
We can see the ears sticking up. I thought there were feet when I looked at you. I thought it was somebody's 2 feet up in the air because I can't see from about where the knee would be on down. So basically over the top of his head, but I can see his ears.
Yep.
It's a good look.
We got Pluto.
I love Pluto. You know what? I got to start watching cartoons again. They always made me very happy as a kid. Do you think they'd still make me happy as an adult?
It might be because they still make me depressed.
They make you very depressed, do they?
Oh, I always was depressed by cartoons.
You don't like talking dogs and mice and things like that?
Mostly neutral. I mean, what I really hated was the Three Stooges, that sort of thing.
You
Like-
hated Three
Too
Jews.
much violence.
I never found people hitting each other as funny.
Well, I understand.
And it's not that anyone ever hit me,
But they were nice Jewish boys.
I know, and that I give them credit for that. But so were the Marx Brothers, and they were funny.
Oh my God, the Marx Brothers were brilliant.
The thing about the Marx Brothers is that they hated authority.
Yes, they did.
So I embraced that when I was, very young. But the Three Stooges just going around hitting each other, I don't like it.
Yeah, I am. Well, I do understand that. I mean, didn't you think it was funny though when he like drag a saw across a guy's head?
Oh, that, of course.
That was really funny.
And you know, as a kid, I did have many stitches on my head.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I was always getting cut in my head because I was totally out of control,
Yeah.
and there was no one there, you know, to help me out.
You know, my favorite thing about the Three Stooges was he'd do something wrong, and every time Curly would say, "I'm sorry, Mo." I used to love when he'd go, "I'm sorry, Mo." It was just a great delivery, I thought. Don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, right.
Oh, you know, you hate the Three Stooges.
I just hate him.
You always have, huh?
Always had it. And I wasn't much a fan of Charlie Chaplin either. I'll say.
No, Charlie Chaplin. I thought
No,
was
because
boring
that
as
was
hell.
totally depressing.
Yes.
The guy was
Yep.
depressed,
Yes.
and I didn't need another depressed person to be around me.
It was very Pagliacci-esque.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
comparison right there. Who do you think is the funniest person of all time?
Boy, that's that's a tough one.
Yeah, you'll have to think about that.
I mean,
for a while.
Groucho comes to mind,
Groucho definitely comes to mind.
and Rodney Dangerfield.
Rodney?
maybe because we were just talking about him, but he does come to mind.
How
I mean, the
about-
thing about Rodney and Groucho is you
Mhm.
start laughing the minute you see them.
Yeah, you do. You're absolutely right about that. But I think one of the funny, if not the funniest of all time, one of the funniest people of all time was Joan Rivers.
She was funny.
She was hilarious and a very nice person. She
And-
used to be on the show all the time, and I just
Yeah.
loved having her on. She's dead now, unfortunately, but I just loved having her on because she was always funny.
And she was a pioneer too.
No, absolutely. No question. She got in that tussle with Johnny Carson, though, when she took that talk show against
Yes.
him. That didn't come out too sweet.
Johnny wasn't happy about that.
He was not happy at all about that. But what the hell?
But Johnny wasn't the most amicable guy in the world.
I heard Johnny was a real prick.
Yeah, he was.
Heard that
From
a
everything
number of
I've
people.
read, yeah.
Well, that show, the funny part of that show was Pat McCormick. He wrote all the good lines, did
Yeah.
he not?
And Johnny delivered him.
Andy, did you ever hear the story about people going to Pat McCormick's house because he and his wife had a baby?
I don't think so.
He had a dinner. I want to have dinner at my house. We just had a baby. I want to have a dinner with all my best friends to celebrate it. It's going to be the greatest. Pat McCormick, he's been dead a long time too, but he's like 6'6", weighed about 350 pounds, just gigantic guy.
He died
Hilarious.
in 05.
So he's been dead almost 20 years.
Mhm.
Well, he
Not-
died the same time that Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah,
did.
a year later.
Yeah.
Okay, can you find a way to tell the helicopter story?
Oh, the helicopter story. You can tell. The
I can't think of any way to. All I really remember is that he. God, I don't want to be tainted by telling the story, but okay. So he
Tainted? You wanna be
got a couple
tainted?
friends together. I think it was somebody's birthday. I can't remember who.
Okay.
And he said, we're gonna have a great time, and we're gonna take a helicopter ride. And from there, he would the helicopter pilot would fly over the house of whoever the guys were, and
Right.
then they would be while that was going on, there was another person in the helicopter who would address their needs. How do you like that?
Address their needs.
Yeah.
I understand addressing their needs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
In a helicopter.
In a helicopter.
It'd be a little bumpy, don't you think? Or maybe that added to it.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, do you join like the 200-yard high club?
Well, yeah, Mile High Club. So
Yeah.
why not a 200-yard high
Right,
club?
exactly.
Okay, so Pat McCormick, his wife have a baby. They invite everybody over. Johnny Carson, his wife, and Ed McMahon and his wife, and blah, blah, blah. They all go to the house. They're all sitting around the dinner table, just, laughing, joking, having some drinks and all the rest of it. So like, oh, it's time for dinner. They're rolling out the cart. So they roll out the meat cart.
Mhm.
They park the meat cart, open it, and the baby's in the meat cart.
No. I never saw that coming.
I didn't either. Believe me. Johnny Carson said he was horrified
Yeah.
by the whole thing. But then they realized he was swaddled and all that. So it wasn't like, but he put the baby in the meat cart.
That's terrible.
Baby's about a week old and it's
Yeah.
already in a meat cart.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But he, honest to God, very, very funny. Very funny people back in those days, don't you think?
Oh yeah. And today's late shows, they
Terrible.
in many ways though they are a tribute to going back to the early days, because you've got guys who are, in some cases, I like Jimmy Kimmel's a good example. His delivery is great.
A good delivery.
He really sells a joke, but he obviously doesn't write them.
No, he does not.
But he's got really funny guys writing for him. So for me, now I never watch it like live and anything, but I most days I get around to getting online and you can find his monologue somewhere, and I mean I still laugh out loud at some of the stuff.
Well, the great thing about Johnny Carson was he talked about it in a very proud manner that he never talked politics. He just didn't think it was a good idea.
Yeah.
And these guys are all three really political. I mean, way over the top.
You think so?
Oh God, especially Kimmel.
Well,
Jesus.
Well, actually, it's Colbert who's
he's really bad.
Everything is political there.
Yeah, literally everything.
You're right.
Yeah.
He's terrible.
And the thing about Jimmy Kimmel is he moves around. But the thing about comics is that they have always done jokes about the president. No matter.
No question about that.
And this president is more susceptible to that kind of humor than this president and the one before him. They're both susceptible to a lot of ridicule.
That's who we got now. Those two.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you have. Well, wait a minute. We got Kennedy too.
Don't forget. Yeah.
Your buddy.
I saw the other day that his vice presidential candidate, who nobody had ever heard of, but it turned out that there was a good reason for her coming on board because she had divorced one of the founders of Google.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So she was worth a few billion, and and Bobby Jr. wasn't raking in the money.
No.
So, but the other day there was a story about her, and she said, "Well, I really, I don't know about Bobby, but I'm really a big fan of Donald Trump."
Who said that?
This is Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s running mate.
Oh, she said that?
Yeah, she talked about how much she loved Trump.
And she's running with Kennedy.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Well, I don't think she understands.
She doesn't have it locked in.
Maybe it was very dry humor.
And she keeps saying, well, I don't really know why I'm here. And I assume that he'll put someone else in my spot eventually.
Okay, let me run this by you. Who is going to be Trump's vice presidential candidate?
Can he nominate himself?
Who is the biggest bootlegger?
This guy's not a bootlegger.
I think maybe Tim Scott would be good.
Tim Scott is the guy I think it will be.
Yeah, he really sells out.
Does he?
He pretends to be outraged by the fact. I mean, they all pretend to be outraged, right?
On both sides, yes.
But there's more outrage there because Biden hasn't been convicted of a felony yet. I don't really think he ever will be. I think
that's his son's job.
That's his son's job, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I just think that they're all, most of the people who are licking the boots are on record as saying the worst thing that could happen to this country is Donald Trump being elected president.
Yeah, a lot of them say that.
They all say that. J.D. Vance is a great example.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance is the guy who said, why should I be worried about what's going on in Ukraine when gasoline costs $5 a gallon?
That's not really a comparison.
There's a guy with a sense of priorities.
Yeah, that's not really a comparison.
Yeah, I know. I just had I just thought of him and I just sort of get sick to my stomach.
Yeah, but they're all the same way. I mean, they're all disgusting as hell. The interesting thing though is that like Biden, when he was vice president, he used to disagree on a fairly regular basis with the boss, and it was, nobody thought it was a terrible thing, but these guys, I mean, no, they're still nominating him for a Nobel Prize, which is never going to happen. Who's nominating who for a Nobel?
Well, the sycophants, the Trump sycophants.
Nobel Prize for what?
Oh, who knows? I don't know.
I do think I will tell you something. I'm very serious about this because I don't have a dog in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
And some people call me a coward because I'm a centrist. You won't take a position. It's like, because the positions are both bullshit. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I lost my train of thought here. What I was going to say.
Just what people are saying to you.
No, this is not what people are saying to me. This is what I think.
Yeah.
The only chance Joe Biden has a winning re-election is if he pardons Trump. People will then go away because they don't want to vote for Trump, but they're going to if they keep this shit up. And if he pardoned Trump, they'd go right back to Biden in a minute.
Most of the Democrats I know would never vote for Biden if he did that. So,
well, then they're lost. I don't know who the hell we get.
So, you know, so he's taking the position that the most tenable position is I had nothing to do with this. Okay. You know, and
well,
of
that's
course,
a lie.
I don't think it's a lie at all, because he knew what was
absolutely.
coming, and the worst thing he could do was get involved in it. So, you know, I mean,
Why did his number 3 guy leave to go prosecute Trump then and take a 50% pay cut?
Who did that?
Oh, I can't remember his name, Andy. But you look it up. The number 3 guy. He was
Biden. He was number 3.
No. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Are you talking about? It's a Facebook post. Can I even see it? No, I can't.
Yeah,
number
whatever.
3 guy would
Manhattan prosecutor.
I was going to say you meant Alvin Bragg.
No, not Alvin Bragg. By the way, Trump, maybe you should think it through before you start calling him Fat Alvin. I mean, think about that.
Yeah, it's
why do you want to do that for guys coming at you hard anyway?
But the thing is, you know, now you're talking about a state prosecutor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, the Justice Department doesn't have anything to do with that.
That's what he did. He left.
State.
He left the Justice Department to go with the state and took a 50% pay cut so he could smoke Trump.
Well,
and he did.
Well, I mean, you think about his career. It could have helped his career. I don't know. I don't know the whole story there.
Yeah. Well,
but what amazes me is, and I do watch Fox News occasionally, more than I used to, because I just like to see what they're saying.
Yeah,
right?
I do the same thing.
So what I've learned from Fox News is that Biden is almost dead.
Yeah, I heard that yesterday.
He's attached to a feeding tube. He doesn't know where he is.
That's probably, yeah.
And he masterminded the prosecution of Trump. Now,
it's tough to do.
I don't think one of those could be the other.
No, he supported it though.
I don't know. I don't think he had to.
Well, like I said,
I mean, he's
do you think
he's obviously happy with what happened.
Yeah. Is it ever going to look good that we prosecuted the president of the United States for something that was 8, 9, 10 years old that was never prosecuted? It was thrown out twice.
Well, what about the other 3 charges?
What 3 charges?
Well, the fact that he's been indicted in three other cases, but
by the same.
But they can't get it. Well, actually, they, you know, like the case, you know, the case in Georgia is being stalled by a Trump judge who obviously shouldn't be a judge. She's, I mean, you know.
But this guy that ran his deal, that Marshawn, he should be. He's one of the filthiest people I have ever seen. He would not.
Marshawn? He's got a great reputation.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
In New York, he does.
Yeah. Well, in New York, it's a bunch of Gell fans.
I wish.
I'd
be there in a minute.
Yeah, you can move to New York.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue politics. I hate all politics.
No, I'm just saying.
Both these parties disgust me.
Well, then I have good news for you because we have a caller.
Who's the caller?
The caller would be Joe.
I was going to say, it's got to be Joe.
It's got to be Joe. What's happening?
Good morning.
Guten Tag.
Trying to find the song you're looking for this morning.
Oh, thank God, because nobody could find it.
It's because it doesn't exist.
What do you mean it doesn't exist?
Slayer doesn't do ballads.
I'm telling you, I looked up on the screen, it said Slayer.
Well, but sometimes it's several songs back if the signal doesn't come out right. The radio can sometimes. So I guess I would look for a song that was played maybe 1 or 2 songs after a Slayer song.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Hang on a second. Let me explain something to you. If any radio station in Minnesota played any Slayer song, the entire state would melt down.
Okay. So who is it that does that song?
What song?
I mean, have you Googled? I'm sure you have.
I couldn't find anything, but it goes, "When I close my eyes at night." Oh God, it's just a horrible song.
And then the second line was, "I get an erection."
Yeah, probably that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I didn't know because I have not driven around in morning drive looking at my screen on my car, so I didn't know they were always behind like that. I had no clue. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
And the guy's a terrible singer. I mean, terrible. But yeah, it's set up on the screen.
Now that's no impediment these days.
Yeah, you got that right. No question.
Yeah.
Because the singer-songwriters typically can't sing or write.
That's true. It's very,
When you do a Google search, the only thing that comes up when I close my eyes is Kenny Chesney.
No, it's not Kenny Chesney. It's a guy, a terrible singer, but nobody has responded to it. So I don't know who it actually was. I have no clue.
Because nobody can find it.
No,
It does exist.
People are having
I
a hard
heard it on
time
the
with this
radio.
one.
Could be Alice in Chains.
Could be, maybe. Does he sing like that? He's a terrible singer.
You hear this?
Yeah. Now, did they do a ballad?
Eric says "When You Close Your Eyes" by Night Ranger.
Oh, can you play a little bit of it?
I can't because we'll get flagged, but
We can do 6
Hang
seconds,
on.
can't we?
not anymore.
Oh, not anymore.
Not
Can't
anymore.
even
You
do
can't
that.
even do
Okay.
that.
The "When You Close Your Eyes" part is at let's see, it's 4 verses in. It looks like. And it's also at the end, over and over.
Oh, yeah. I think that might be it.
Hang on.
Oh, Joe's got it.
Sounds like a ballad.
Yep. No, that's not it.
It sounds a lot like what you were describing.
Yeah,
The
it
guy's a
Joe.
horrible singer, but not as bad as this guy.
Hmm.
So what the hell? What are you gonna do?
Well, when
I've been looking for it. A couple guys on chat have been looking for it.
I know.
We just can't find it.
I see it because I did not know because I was never in the car during morning drive that they're that far behind with saying who the artist is. I
so
did
this,
not know
this
that.
was a digital thing you were listening to?
Yes. Yeah.
I was going to say, because.
it was 104.1. That's who I was listening.
Okay. Yeah.
But Joe, I thank you very much because I told Joe many years ago that eventually Catherine and I are going to look for a place to stay in Kentucky because the long drive from Florida to Minnesota is just too long. It's 30 hours. It takes forever. You know, you got to stop for the dog and all that stuff. But apparently Elvis's birthplace is for sale for $1.50. Huh?
Hello?
Mhm.
Oh, no.
Muhammad Ali's birthplace.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, it's Louisville, Kentucky. Muhammad Ali's birthplace for sale for $1.5 million.
1 point. And how big is it? Not big enough?
Well, probably not big enough for him, but
I mean, for a $1.5 million.
yeah, I know. I just.
It's the Great One's house.
The
His
great
childhood home.
one. Childhood home of the great
Mhm.
one. Wouldn't it be great? I should buy that house, and then every time somebody calls me, I go, "Hello, it's me." Everybody thinks I'm dead, but I'm not. Like, wouldn't it be great? I just go around the house talking like Muhammad Ali every time I'm in the house.
Summon his spirit.
Yeah, summon his spirit. There was no bigger fan of Muhammad Ali than me. I loved that guy
Yeah.
from the time he was Cassius Clay on
You and Howard.
because he never shut up. He just
But neither did Howard, and he loved him too.
Dick Cavett.
Yeah.
After he fought, who's the guy that broke his jaw again? It broke Muhammad Ali's jaw.
Was it Liston?
No, it was not. It doesn't matter who it was. I guess
I guess it wouldn't have been.
It
'Cause-
was Ken Norton.
Ken Norton.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
exactly
Ken
who it
Norton,
was.
yeah.
Ken Norton broke his jaw.
Yeah.
So Ali goes on the Dick Cavett show. It used to be a talk show, daytime talk show, ladies and gentlemen. And Dick Cavett said, "Muhammad, I have to tell you something. I watched the video before you came on, and I got to be honest with you. If I had been hit that hard, it would have knocked me out." And there was a pause, and Ali said, "If anybody hits you that hard, your beneficiaries will still be collected.
That's
It
not
would have
bad.
killed you."
Probably not wrong.
The greatest of all time.
Thomas, our listener, says he thinks it might be Lita Ford and Ozzy Osbourne. "Close Your Eyes Forever."
No, that's not it
It's
either.
not it.
No.
Okay.
Matter of fact,
No.
it's time to go home now. So thank
Oh,
God.
come on. No, you just leave us hanging.
Leave us
Thanks
hanging.
a lot.
We'll never know.
All right, Joe. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Take,
All right.
take it easy.
Closing comments, gentlemen.
I'm going to be home Googling this lyrics for a long time now.
I see. Once again, I accept responsibility because I did not know they lagged behind on saying who it is. So I said the lead singer of Slayer sucks, and it wasn't him.
Hmm.
I'll tell you one thing. When I close my eyes, I hear my cat licking my blanket.
Yeah, that's right. When I close my eyes at night.
But I
I
don't think
see
that would
some-
anyone would sell though.
No, probably not.
I'm not thinking. No.
It's a little little mundane.
All right, Friday tomorrow. Looking forward to it. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.
Got a picture in my noggin reminds me of this one was before. Every time I hear the singing reminds me how you talking.